Hello everybody. I'm sure this won't be difficult at all. Let's see if I can type at the same time. Ah, nice, Tanya. I'm just looking at your relay that's been cut open. This is already becoming confusing. I think if I was going to do this more often, I'm going to need a monitor about 14 times as wide as this. That's how. I wonder if I can just show you what's going on my screen at the moment. Yes, I can. Look how complicated that looks. At the bottom down there, I've got a 3D printer running. I've got OBS in the top corner there, and TweetDeck on the left. It's a little bit confusing. So if I switch to something a little bit more useful, there we go. You can see the 3D print again, which is probably the most interesting thing that's happening at the moment. It's a nice brewing system you got going there. That's Tim. Let's see if we can throw a phone into the mix as well and see if we can do anything from this. Aha. That 3D printer's pretty loud, isn't it? Maybe I should replace the fan. It's one of those cheap CTC 3D printers that I did quite a few upgrades on, but I haven't upgraded the power supply yet. I think it's got one horrible little 20mm fan in there that's trying to cool the entire board. I wouldn't be surprised if it conks out in a little while from overheating. Yeah, so we've been doing some hydroponic stuff. I'm just trying to find a picture to add for you now so you can see our tomato plants going on. fact, let's bombard you with pictures. Ah, and of course making a chicken cam. That was the other thing that I've been up to. Somebody just said the printer sounds like a bubbling pond. I might need a bubbling pond if it catches fire. I really must update the power supply in that thing. According to the front panel, I'm about 45% through the print. Add some different filament I'm trying at the moment, which looks like it's just snagged actually, so I'll go and sort that. And return. The print is safe. Ah, this is a lot of things to try and follow. Ooh, new projects and resolutions. Let's see. I suppose we've got lots of things for the garden, and some things for the chickens, and self-sufficiency, hydroponics. Oh my word, lots of things. Also some Internet of Things I'll probably be doing. I'll probably reconnect the shed lights to either a Raspberry Pi or some kind of Wi-Fi enabled Arduino, something like that maybe. And of course finish the chicken camera. Oh yeah, we want to do an automatic feeder as well for the chickens. Oops, I didn't tag that maker's error. I do that quite often. I generally end up deleting a tweet and then resending it. It would be much easier if you could edit things on Twitter. There we go. That should be a little bit more visible. Oh, speaking of 3D printing, I noticed the questions changed a little bit earlier. There were more questions. One of the questions that was provided was, what have you made from wood this year? And the shed that I'm standing in probably is the best example. That was a concrete pad last year, and now it's a building. And that was a 3D print when it started. This was how I figured out the. Let's change this so you can get a better view of it. There we go. This is how I planned the shed in 3D before I started with actual wood. It was great because it meant that this is a scale model, and I could accurately predict how much wood I was going to need to do various tasks. And even with little things like this one side of the shed here was left open because I wasn't quite sure where the door might be. The door might be at the front, it might be at the side. And in the end we had windows all along here on this side, which you can see over there, up behind the blinds. So that started as a 3D print but ended up as a full-size wooden object. And my resolution is to produce more videos, hopefully slightly less confusing than this one. Blog pretty much everything that I make from now on, or at least live stream everything I make from now on, and move back into producing some articles and things for other people to see. It gets a little bit isolated working purely in academia. I think there's engagement with other people, but it's nice to engage with a mass audience, a public audience, and work on some projects that everybody will appreciate and everybody will enjoy. Of course, the main thing is to do projects regularly. I'd like to know more about those flood barriers, Marco. That looks very interesting. Do you have a link or something where we can find that information? But then again, you're probably not watching this, so I'll probably just... where did that go? Hmm. Hey, where did that tweet go? It disappeared. Oh well. Well, if it pops back up again, I'll ask a question about it. Keeping things tidy on the bench is a constant battle. As soon as you start doing one project, you've had it. You have to tidy as you go along, otherwise it just becomes entrenched. Quite literally entrenched. Oh, that 3D print is looking quite good then. And just to get things confusing, I'm now getting questions on the live chat of YouTube as well. It's definitely a challenge to keep up with all of this. Hello, Dr. Footleg. I thought I'd give live streaming a try. I thought it might be quite nice to do this. If I can get the hang of it, I might make it a little bit more regular. One thing I didn't anticipate was the fact I'd be needing photographs that are on my phone. So I'm having to switch to the phone occasionally and use Twitter on the phone so that I can... Yeah, so that I can grab the pictures off the phone. And I'm also running on 2 different networks as well. The shed's got its own separate network now. And I just realised I forgot to switch over, which is why I was pausing, because I hadn't got a signal. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Let's see if I can find a suitable picture. Because I got an absolutely brilliant present this year for Christmas. It's something I've never had before. And it's very useful. And that present is one of these. It's a brand spanking new DeWalt with the charger and the 5 amp battery. And it's got so many nice little features on here. I'm not the sort of person to do unboxing or product reviews very often, but this is very nice. All of my other DeWalt stuff is the old batteries, so it's nice to see how much lighter and yet still sturdy. I mean, they still feel really sturdy. But an impact driver is just so useful. Now we're doing big projects as well, so we've got things like raised beds and things that we want to build, and sort of various chicken runs and that kind of stuff. This is so much better than a drill. It's so much easier on your wrists as well. There's much less effort required to use it. Let's go back to the 3D print. There we go. Our 3D print's doing really well. I'm quite pleased with that. This is, in case I haven't said already, it's half of a sump for a hydroponics set. So the idea is that the water will drain down through the centre of this once it's filled up to the top of the channel that it's working in. Because it's a sump, it will siphon off. It's kind of a domed siphon. So it will just empty itself once the inflow stops, because we're using ebb and flow for our hydroponics rather than constant flow. It's a good job too, because we were worried that if we had any faults or anything, the plants might just die before we notice. And we've had a few faults, and I think if we had a constant flow system, we would have been in trouble. Virtual wood turning. My goodness, the world's gone mad. Yeah, I like the idea of a live makers hour, live stream makers hour. That might be quite good. It'd be good if we could do a kind of show and tell thing in the round, wouldn't it? Maybe linking together Skype somehow or something like that. That'd be really good. Yeah, maybe we should try and figure that out. I just realised I've got a box on the bench that I haven't opened yet. Let's see if we can have a look what it is. Ooh, I wonder if I've got the... Aha! How about that? I've got a box of everything. Oops. Let's see what we've got. Oh, I can't remember what these actually are. Oh, yes. Aha. There we go. Now some casters. I bought these a while ago for another project, and they're very good. Oh, these were for the hydroponics rig. So I thought I'd get some more because I want to build some movable work surface. You know, a moving workbench. And these hold a ridiculous amount of... oh, look at that. There's a little... You see that? There's a little dink in the wheel, a hole in the moulding. And we're on for another question. Let's see what we've got. I've broken my screen. There we go. Definition of making. This has come up a lot recently, hasn't it? There's been lots of people very upset about people using the word maker and referring to makers or crafters and things like that. Yeah, I'm going to agree with Dr. Lucy Rogers on this one, I think. Yeah, I think that's good. I must admit, I was very cross at one point when the whole thing blew up about using the term maker. So I think I changed my Twitter handle to actually say my Twitter bio actually says something different. It doesn't say maker. It's probably maybe says fabricator, unless I removed it completely. Yeah, fabricator. There we go. I'm sure at some point somebody will come round and tell me that that's the wrong term to use now, but I don't mind what people call me too much. apparently 90% of the 3D print done. I think making is a hobby and a job for me. It's hard. It's probably not. Is it still a job if you enjoy it? It's certainly not work, but it could be a job, I suppose. Yeah. Oh, this is so complicated. I'm trying to wrangle so many different screens at the same time. I'm starting to lose track of where I am. I think if we did plan some kind of a live stream with multiple people, we'd need somebody on the somebody acting as a moderator, as admin, so that we could speak a little bit more freely without getting completely confused. Looks like there's some buffering going on the stream at the moment. I'm not sure why. Oh, and there goes the 3D print. The 3D print has finished. So I think what I will probably do, now that that's finished, is pull the print off. Let's have a look where we are. So I pulled the print off. And there we go, that's what I've just printed. So the idea is there's a little kind of a cup goes over this. You see the little ridges around here? These little ridges? All of these. There's a little cup goes over that. So that you get a seal around the top. It works a bit like a little bit like a demijohn. You know the top off a demijohn? The little air seal. Same kind of thing. But now that's done as well, I can kill the 3D printer noise and do a little bit of cleaning up on the print. Yeah. This is a very blunt scalpel blade, so it's not too much of a problem. Just get some of the rough parts off the edge there. Oh, the bottom's not bad, quite even. This is just one of those colours that seems to show all of the faults. You know, when you do a 3D print, sometimes you get all of the faults are very visible because of the type of plastic that you've used. I think this is one of those. But you can see we have the hole down the centre. The holes through the bottom are for bolting through. So we can either have one of these with a flat plate at the bottom, passing through the piece of channeling we use for the hydroponics. So we can either have that going through with a flat plate at the bottom that just bolts it in place so that it stops any leaks, with a little bit of sealant around it. Or alternatively, we can just have another one of these facing the other way up at the bottom. So you've got a complete tube going that way. I think I might do a flat plate because it'll be easier to connect. Let's see, just out of interest, whether this tube will go in here. No, it won't. This tube is actually slightly larger than the tube I intend to use. I thought it might just have been close enough to call, but it's not. This should work with the standard sort of quick, you know, the quick fit plumbing pipe. Or we might just leave it open without any pipe at all, actually, looking at it. Yeah, a computer-controlled hydroponic system. That's on my list of things to do this year. I'll probably use an Arduino rather than a Raspberry Pi, I think. Purely because I've got more control. Well, I've got more usable output pins that are easily accessible, and I don't mind the programming. I don't mind programming in Arduino. The Raspberry Pi is a great tool, but for little automation projects like that, I much prefer to use something sort of an app maker or something like that. You know, just a very simple processor to do a simple job. If I was going to take it to the next level and use maybe a camera in there to monitor some things, and have it so that there was a nice logging system with a web-based interface, then I'd definitely go Raspberry Pi. Yeah, I think since that's the end of the print and we're coming up to the last quarter of an hour for Maker's Hour, I think I'm going to call this feed done for now, and I'll see you next time. If you hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do this again. Maybe not next time though, but maybe in a few weeks, when I've figured out a better way of scanning through all of the tweets and things. So let's see what we can do.